How did it all start? I'm not really sure. My interest in making, I think, came at an early age. I enjoyed spending time with my grandfather. He was quite a clever bloke, and he was good at making stuff, be it metal or wood. You know, anything he could turn his hand to, really, or materials he could get hold of. I lived with my grandparents on and off quite a lot when I was a kid. My mum and dad separated when I was about 2 years old. My mum never bothered with me, ever. It was only till when I was about 35 that I actually started to see her. So growing up with my grandparents, I think, was a big influence on me. They did actively encourage me to be creative, but I think what really got it going was more the fact that I grew up in a time, and most definitely within a household, where you didn't throw things away. My nana had a saying, I think it went something like make, do and mend. And I think what that means is basically, if something breaks, try and fix it. Don't throw it away. Don't buy a new one. Try and fix it. So you naturally learn how to repair things, or if a table leg or a chair leg breaks, you learn how to fix it. Or if you want something, if you want a box to store things in, you didn't go out to one of these stores that sells household items. You found a few scraps of wood and you made the box. So I think that's what started it, really. I was never made to be creative. I was encouraged. And as I say, because my grandparents were the type of people who wouldn't throw stuff away, it kind of takes a natural progression, you know. So living with my grandparents, I was often surrounded by creativity. As I mentioned, my granddad would make things out of metal and wood, or he'd repurpose something. And my nana, she enjoyed knitting, crochet, and they both were pretty good artists. My nana really loved drawing with pencil and like pencil crayons. My granddad was a fabulous painter. He used to paint with oils, he'd paint with watercolours, charcoal. You know, if you could make a mark on a paper with it, or a canvas, he'd use it. So as I say, I was all surrounded by creativity. As the old saying goes, monkey see, monkey do. I'd see my granddad with a bit of wood, I'd want to do something. I'd see my nana drawing, I'd want to draw. I wanted to do things with them, you know. Even down to, like, when we went to the beach, we'd find driftwood and put it into shapes in the sand, you know, see if we could try and form a picture by arranging the driftwood branches and bits of wood and rocks into scenes, or try and make it look like a person, or just with your finger drawing in the sand, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that was quite a big part in the start of me being creative myself. growing up, I remember using my granddad's tools as much as I could, as much as my nana had let me. My nana was scared to death that I'd drill through my hand or chop a thumb off or something like that, but as you can see, I never did. So you know, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, so whether they meant to or not, they really did influence me. And as I said, growing up, I remember making things out of bits of wood or whatever, sitting and drawing a picture or trying to. I've never really been that much of an artist. And I think when I got to the age of about 11, I discovered plastic model kits. So I saved my pocket money and I did extra jobs to get a bit more money, and I went to one of the local shops and bought a model kit, an aeroplane, and I read the box and I bought the paints needed to go with it, and I run home and I spent a few days doing that. Once I'd made the model, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted, you know, I wanted to do more with it. You know, I'd made this aeroplane or whatever it was, and I thought, you know, I was really pleased with it. Thinking back, it was probably crap, but at the time I was really happy with it. I thought I'd recreated something amazing. So I started to ask myself, what could I do with this aeroplane to make it even better? So I think, like a lot of us who have done model kits, I got some cotton and I hung it up from the ceiling. But still, I wasn't happy with that. I took the model down off the ceiling, I took the string off it, and I made what I now know is called a diorama. I got a big bit of wood, and my granddad had a bag of builder's sand in the back garden, so I got some of that, and my nana dried it out in the oven for me, and I glued it in a strip onto this board that I'd got, and then I found some black and white paint. I mixed the black and white paint together and made a grey colour. Then I painted the sand, and basically I was trying to make it look like a runway. And I thought, oh, that's okay, you know, that's looking somewhat, that looks alright. That looked better, but still, I wasn't happy. Eventually I had the landing strip with a plane sat on it. I had grass either side of the landing strip, but I still wasn't happy. And then I think my granddad said to me, well, why don't you build a tower? And I didn't know what a tower was. Well, obviously it's the building that they control where planes take off and land and when and where and stuff like that. I didn't know what it looked like. So I went to the library and I asked if they had any books of pictures of this sort of thing, and the librarian helped me, and I found a book and I looked through the book and I saw a picture of a control tower, and she photocopied it for me. She didn't even charge me for the photocopy, which I was really pleased about, because I'd spent all my pocket money buying the model. And I run home, and then I had the problem of what do I make it out of, you know. What do I make it out of? And I remember we had a box of cereal. My nana went mad at me for this because I took the cereal out of the bag, left it on the kitchen side, and I cut the box up and made the tower, and needless to say the cereal was ruined. So I cut out a rough shape of this building that I wanted, and I put windows in it, and I tried to remake it as best as I could to the picture in the book. I think that was the first big project I ever did. And I remember being quite proud of myself, thinking that I started out with just a plastic model kit and eventually ended up with a diorama. About, I don't know if it was about this big, wasn't very big. Maybe about 12 or so inches across, you know. As I say, I was really proud of myself because I'd gone from the aeroplane to the full-on diorama, and I'd problem solved. I'd worked out what materials I could use, I'd worked out what to do with the materials to make it look like what I wanted it to look like, and things like that, you know. So I taught myself quite a lot, because, you know, obviously back then I didn't have the internet. I didn't have you lot to ask for advice. It was such a slow process, because if you wanted to know what something looked like, you had to go to a library. You had to wait for the weekend when you weren't at school. You had to go to a library. You had to find the book you needed. Then you had to find the picture you needed. Remember what it looked like. Then go home and find the materials to do it with, and do it. So back then it was a lot bigger process than it is now, where you could just do a few clicks on your phone or on your laptop and you've got all the information you need. After that I did another diorama, because I think at some point during one of my visits to the library I'd seen a photograph of a battle scene, maybe from World War II. Imagine Normandy landing, you know, they're coming in off the landing crafts, they're running through the water onto the beach, they're getting shot. So I decided to try and recreate that. So again, I'm faced with another load of problems. How do I make water? How do you make water? I mean, obviously, I don't know if there was back then, but obviously now there are products that you can pour out onto your diorama, and when it dries it looks like water. I think I ended up putting a base of sand down and blobbing all over it. Dark blue, light blue, white, oil paint on it. Because, you know, oil paint's thick, you can texture it and what have you. And basically the sand was as it is, and then I remember seeing breakers on the beach, so I found some scraps of wood and I whittled them down till there was what looked like a reasonable size. None of it was to scale, I'm sure, and I glued them on, painted them brown, and then I found some of them, you know, the really tiny army figures you can get. I glued them on, painted them as best as I could. And, you know, again, a lot more problem solving. You know, I've learnt more, I've done something else. And, you know, for a few years I went through a period of making models and things like that. As I grew, I started finding I was making bigger things. I think people of my age, we've all done it. We found a pram, we nicked the wheels off it, we made a go-kart. I did things like that. And, you know, when we were kids, our toy, our plaything was the great outdoors. I'd build a den in the back garden, and I remember the den that I built, I actually made it out of old solid wood kitchen cabinets that somebody had taken out of their house. They was getting a new kitchen, and they were in the garden, and I just knocked on the door and said, can I have them? And they went, what do you want them for? I says, I want to build a den. So they went, aye, off you pop, take what you want. And I took them, and the doors had yellow, sort of semi-see-through yellow panels on the front of them. And I thought, oh, they'll make great windows. You know, so I made it all up, and then suddenly I didn't have a roof for it, and I'd run out of stuff. What am I going to do? And I just left it. I think a few weeks went by, and I was out playing one day, and I found a sheet of corrugated iron. So I dragged that home, put it on. It was the roof, and it had a wooden. This den had a wooden floor. You know, you couldn't have kept anything in it if you wanted it to stay dry. But I loved it, and I loved the process of making it. And all I had to make it was a hammer and a saw, but I did it. You know, and so in that project, I've learned how to join a couple of bits of wood. I learned how to put hinges on to make the doors swing up so I could get in and whatever, you know. So all of this, you know, everything was all trial and error. But I still, you know, it was all learning, and it's still learning, and we never stop learning. You know, even now I'm 42 years old, and I don't even, you can't measure what you don't know. If I knew half of what I know, what I knew in 20 years time, if I knew half of that now, I'd be happy. So that's more or less where my maker journey started, I guess, you know, with my grandparents. The few examples I've told you about already, there was more stuff, but, you know, I don't need to tell you everything. And then, you know, you get a bit older, and your mind changes, and you start looking at other things. For me, it was girls. Got me into a lot of trouble with the girls, but there you go, making stuff, you don't get into trouble, do you? So, you know, I've gotten to an age where I wanted to play out with my mates more, hang about with my mates more. I started getting interested in girls, and making stuff just, I don't know, it just fell by the wayside. I kind of lost interest in it, or other things piqued my interest that little bit more. And I think, of course, leaving school, going to college, and eventually getting, you know, leaving college, getting a job, they're all life experiences you've got to do, and life's exciting. You know, and you maybe haven't got time for hobbies. You maybe haven't got time to just sit and relax. Or in my case, I had too much bloody energy to sit still and make a model or cut a bit of wood and make something with it. Quite a number of years went by. A lot of years went by where I wasn't creative in any shape or form. I think the closest to becoming creative was decorating and bits of DIY, and even then that didn't really grab my attention again to start making. And then a few years ago, can't remember how long ago, I started getting into photography. I know in making an object as such, but I don't consider photography, like drawing or painting, to be making. You know, you're making a picture. You're using your creative mind to create the picture. So, you know, I consider photography within the realms of making, same as video, you know. So I started, getting into photography, and I bought the gear, and I learned, and I improved my gear, and I tried to improve my eye and what have you. This, of course, was when I'd spent time on. I became quite unwell, and I think during my period of illness I got bored, and that's why I started doing the photography and stuff. I don't know, just one day it caught my eye and I started doing it. And I attended a couple of photography clubs to learn more. I went and did a very rubbish basic photography course at Hull College. And I set out on that journey. So again, I became creative again. Eventually my health improved and I had to start looking for work again. I found work, I started working hard, I started doing a lot of hours, and the photography got put on the back burner. And in fact it still is. I mean, the closest to any kind of photography I get now is taking a picture with my phone of whatever project it is I've made, to put up on Instagram, Facebook, within the maker community. And then a little while ago, I wanted my own space. I wanted my own space, something to escape. I'm a married man. I have 2 daughters, and I love my family more than anything in the world. I would give it all up to have them. But as much as I love them, I need my own space now and again. And eventually I started looking at the shed we've got in the back garden, the one that you've seen in previous videos, the one that I do all my projects in and things like that. And over the years it had just gotten filled with absolute junk and crap. We all have them things in our house where we just don't know what to do with it. So it goes in the shed, or it goes in the loft. In my case it went in the shed. And I was off work one day, it was a particularly nice day, so I thought, right, sod it, now's the time. Let's get on with it. Went out to the shed, emptied it, and started planning it. I mean, a lot of you have seen the creating my workshop videos that I did, so you know the process of that. And I spent a few weeks, or however long, putting in a cupboard, sourcing materials for a worktop, gathering bits and bobs I needed, including the tools that I have, Even though I've got my workshop, it makes me nothing anywhere near a professional. I consider that I will always be a student. I will never be a professional anything. I'll always be a student. I don't profess to know it all. Certainly don't. I mean, some of the videos I watch online of you lot, I wish I was half as good as some of you. You are absolutely fantastic. But you're also a source of education. I have this terrible habit of overcomplicating things. I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I make life hard for myself. I really don't, and it annoys me. And every now and again I have to put the project I'm doing to one side, forget about it and walk away, and it's sometimes weeks before I even look at it again. The mirror project I started, for example, it wasn't that I overcomplicated it, it just wasn't working as I wanted it to, and I couldn't get from my head onto the workbench. That was a number of months ago. Yeah, I haven't even thought about it. I've left it. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up and get it right. I don't know. So I'll never be a professional anything. I'll always be an amateur. I'll always be a student. Some projects will be crap, some projects will be okay, and some projects will be friggin' marvellous. but that all depends on who you ask, I suppose. So here I am, I've got my workshop now, 8 foot by 5 foot. The size of my workshop irritates the hell out of me sometimes, but it's what I've got. You know, you make the best of what you've got. Restrictions, oh no, that was it, got it. Tim Sway said limitations fuel creativity, and I think it does, but not so much in actually making a project. For me, it's about how the hell do I get this bit of wood in here and cut it up. Well, you know, it's a problem, innit? You solve it, you get on with it. So this is where I am now. I think I've spent about 25 minutes prattling on, and it's a story that'll never end. I hope I don't get bored of it. I enjoy doing it, whether I'm filming it or not. I do actually make things that I don't film. I don't even photograph it. I just make it because I don't want to think about the filming process side of things or the photography side of things. I just want to make the blooming thing and just forget about the camera, forget about talking, and just make. I bet there's a lot of people who think the same as me, but when I'm in my shed making something, I don't care what I'm making, I don't care if it's going right, I don't care if it's going wrong. It's that moment to myself, that time to myself, that peace and quiet, where I'm not hearing my wife shout at the kids, where I'm not hearing the kids shout at each other. I can go in my shed, I can lock the door, I can put the heater on, I can put a radio on, or not. Just work quietly. It might sound strange, you might laugh at me, but I have actually sat in the shed intending to make something and ended up just sitting there, pondering, thinking about anything, about whatever. So for me, having my workspace, having my creativity, doing my bits and bobs, it's a marvellous thing. You know, a lot of you know recently I lost my dad, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I have making and my shed, my workspace, I have those things to thank for my healing, for my mood improving, my grief leaving me. I have all of these things and yourselves to thank. It's like a therapy. You can go in there and get lost in your work, or you can go in there and think through your problems and sort it out in your mind. It's a fantastic place to be, and I'd actually be curious to know what my viewers feel, how they feel when they're in their workspace, be it your garden shed, be it your spare bedroom, wherever it is. I'd like to know how you all feel when you're doing whatever it is you're doing. For me, it's a little slice of heaven. It really is. It's a beautiful place. It's mucky, it's dusty, it's full of spiders. Every time I walk through the bloody door I get attacked by a cobweb. It's cold, you know, but it's a lovely place in the shed and in my mind. Very therapeutic. So I'm really happy that I found this hobby, and as frustrating as it can be when things don't go right, the good far outweighs the bad. So that's pretty much my story up to now. In a nutshell, I'm happy in my shed, I'm happy making, I'm happy talking to you a lot. I love it when you all comment and what have you, but this isn't a video to, you know, start asking for subscribers and all that crap. Shit like that, I'm getting over it. It don't bother me no more. Bollocks. I'm happy when someone subscribes, really happy. I'm happy when someone comments, it's great. But just to be able to share all of this with you, to be able to do it in the first place, to be able to film it and share it if I want to. That's what matters, isn't it? You're a cracking bunch of people. You know, I'm blessed to know you, even if only online. But that's my story. This is where I am. Beginning of 2018, I couldn't be happier. And part of that happiness is all down to you lot. So thank you very much. I don't know if this will be the end of this video. Well, it's the end of this video. But I don't know, maybe this time next year will I look back? Will my feelings change? Will my channel still exist? I don't know. But if I remember, and feel free to remind me, this time next year I'll do another one of these videos. And maybe things have changed, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll leave it at that for now. I'm sure you've heard enough. If you've got through this 30 odd minute video, I'll be massively impressed. Well done, give yourself a pat on the back. So I'm going to call it a day for now. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.